Hello everybody, I'm Neziha. Today I'm going to talk about Villa Savoye by Le Corbusier. But firstly, a little bit about the architect himself. So, his real name is Charles-Édouard Jeanneret, and he was born in 1897. He was a Swiss-French architect, designer, painter, urban planner, writer, and one of the pioneers of modern architecture. His career spanned 5 decades. He designed many buildings in Europe, Japan, India, and North and South America. He provided better living conditions for the residents of crowded cities. Le Corbusier was influential in urban planning and was a founding member of Siam Congress. And Siam Congress is an organization founded in 1928, responsible for a series of events arranged across Europe by the most prominent architects of the time, with the aim of spreading the principles of the modern movement, focusing in all the domain of architecture such as landscape, urbanism, industrial design. In 2016, 17 of his projects were inscribed in the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites as the architectural work of Le Corbusier, and his most famous work is Villa Savoye in France. So, what do we see at the first glance? We see that it's a white 2-story building with terrace floor. The facade has no ornaments. There are also many round columns in the ground floor and many horizontally continuous windows on the upper floor. There's also a video in YouTube that pretty much describes and shows the building. I will put the link down below in the description. So, Villa Savoye is a modernist villa in Poissy, on the outskirts of Paris, France. It was built between 1928 and 1931 using reinforced concrete. Its dimensions were 4.75 by 6 meters, and the house was originally built as a country retreat for the Savoye family. After being purchased by the neighboring school, it became the property of the French state in 1958. After several proposals to demolish it, it was designated as an official French historical monument in 1965. The building was renovated between 1985 and 1997, and now it is open to visitors year-round. The house was also registered as UNESCO World Heritage Site. The building consists of ground floor, first floor, and roof terrace. It's one of the most easily recognizable examples of modern architecture, and is considered to be the purest villas by Le Corbusier. The villa also represents Le Corbusier's 5 points of a new architecture, a series of architectural principles, which are pilotis, roof garden, free ground plan, horizontal windows, and free facade. Now we're going to look at them more detailed. The first one is the pilotis. It is a support of the ground level pilotis. Steel or concrete columns are replacing the load-bearing walls, and they became the basis of the building. They're elevating the building from the earth and allowing the garden to be extended to the space beneath. Next one is the roof garden. It's a functional roof serving as a garden and terrace covered with vegetation. This ensures constant moisture and serves as a perfect heat and cold insulator. The third principle is the free ground plan. Since we don't have any load-bearing walls, but instead columns, it allows flexible use of the living space, which can be divided by panel elements. Then we have the horizontal windows. Again, because of the lack of the load-bearing walls, we can design the facade as we wish, create bigger openings, windows. They provide the building more light. And the last one is the free facade. Open and closed sections on the facade enable the separation and connection of the exterior design from the building structure. This is the plan of the ground floor. We see the columns, or columns that we call pilotis, and the photo shows the back of the building. The ground floor has arrival sequence designed for a car, car shed. It has a lobby and 2 other rooms. And the continuous glazing glass doesn't create a barrier between interior and exterior. The continuous glazing glass doesn't create a barrier between interior and exterior. And the interior has rooms well linked with each other and no barriers between them. The building has a spiral staircase as well as a ramp reaching up to the upper floor. The interior has rooms well linked with each other and no barriers between them. The building has a spiral staircase as well as a ramp reaching up to the upper floor. And this is the entrance from the inside. The first floor basically has all the spaces a house needs. It has open terrace, living room, 3 bedrooms, kitchen, and a bathroom. The rooms are always oriented for sun. But the most significant part is the hanging garden, which creates great sense of openness. You can be outside, but still in your house. The living room consists of a long horizontal window on one side and a terrace garden on the opposite. It destroys the barrier between inside and outside, creating a free facade, which is one of the 5 principles of Le Corbusier's new architecture. And a little bit about building's history. Savoye family approached Le Corbusier about building a country house in Poissy in the spring of 1928. The site was a green field with a magnificent view. Le Corbusier had all the freedom designing the villa. He was only limited by his own architectural aesthetic, and he began working on the project in September 1928. His initial ideas were manifested in the final building, but he also had a set of alternative designs that were rejected by the Savoye family because of the cost concerns. And the solution to the cost problem was to reduce the volume of the house. The building cost approximately 900,000 francs. When the construction of the project started, no design work had been done on the lodge, and the final design was only presented to the client in June 1929. The design was for a double lodge, but it was reduced to a single lodge for cost reasons. Although the construction of the entire house was completed within a year, it was not habitable until 1931. Le Corbusier used the golden ratio in his modular system for the scale of architectural proportions. The modular is an anthropometric scale of proportions devised by him. It is based on the height of an Englishman with his arm raised. The unit length in any scale is of importance. Le Corbusier's modular is based on the human figure and on traditional inch foot, which is itself based on the human figure. These models were used very successfully in the design of furniture, as well as buildings, and anthropometric measurements should be used in furniture design. And the purpose of the modular was to maintain the human scale everywhere. Another very famous Le Corbusier building is Unité d'Habitation in Marseille, France. It is a modernist residential building. The concept formed the basis of several housing developments designed by him throughout Europe. But the most famous one is this one in Marseille. The building was oriented north-south, so the units face east and west, and so all the apartments get natural light. The apartments were equipped with built-in furniture, storage walls with sliding doors. There are a total of 337 units. In here, you can again see the pilotis, one of the 5 principles of Le Corbusier's architecture on the ground floor. The columns, separating the building from the earth. And the second photo shows the terrace on the top floor. There's also a pool. Let's talk a little bit about modern architecture. Modern architecture refers to a historic movement that emerged in Europe and later spread to the other parts of the world during early and mid of the 20th century, which gained its popularity after World War II. Some of the characteristics of modern architecture are honesty to materials. Steel, concrete, glass, and wood are the 4 most prominent materials used in modern buildings. Modern architecture promoted the idea of not ornamenting or plastering the building with some artificial material. What is inside should be reflected outside. Characteristic is the purpose of the essence. It's a principle which suggests that the function of the building follows its form. It indicates that the built space that we see is the result of the intended meaning and purpose behind that. And a great example is the Guggenheim Museum in New York by Frank Lloyd Wright. The next one is clean and crisp lines. Most modern buildings would have strong horizontal and vertical lines. They indicate the horizontal and vertical elements in the building. And the last one is less is more. It refers to the minimalistic approach to a building, no ornamentation, no excessive elements. And lastly, I want to conclude with the most popular saying of modern architecture by Mies van der Rohe, a German architect: less is more. Thank you for your attention.